Well, good afternoon, everybody. Darren Saul here, episode 116 of Playing with Perspective, the suspended animation podcast. I have the lovely Naomi Williams here in the studio. How are you, Naomi?
I'm well, Darren, and how are you today?
Very, very well. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And now for everybody out there, we're going to be chatting about why social distancing is so challenging for us human beings. So a fascinating discussion, and Naomi is very knowledgeable in this area. Naomi currently keeps busy operating businesses in the B2C space. Pre-COVID, she was 100% focused on technology for hotels. Post-COVID, T4H keeps her busy. So does Kleen Freek and Victory Sprayers. Her background is pretty suited to today's world, as she actually has a science degree and has also worked for many years in the corporate space and has been operating her own business with her business partner for the last 10 years or so. She's a bit of a self-confessed nerd and loves to really understand how things work. So today, Naomi's going to chat about how we work, and why we're all struggling so much with social distancing. So fascinating discussion. Welcome to the show, Naomi.
Thank you, Darren. Nice to be here, as I said before.
Absolutely. So now you've done lots of different things. Obviously, you started off in science, moved into hotels and hospitality. Now you're being very innovative. Maybe give us a little bit of a snapshot of your journey.
Okay. So quick rundown. So science, that was my passion at school, did postgrad studies.
Yep.
I think the thing that sticks is I worked with someone who knew I probably wouldn't stay in the field,
Right.
but he wanted to teach me how to think.
Nice.
And that sounds funny, but it's that analytical curiosity, get under the bonnet, that is me. It's always been me, always will be me. And then many years in the corporate space, but how that relates to today is I actually did a lot of programs actually with cultural change, with trying to change people's behaviour and adherence to policies and procedures. I used to do critical situation management, so that really quick get into what the big problem is and fix it. So there's a lot of sort of things that have come together, and then more than 10 years in our own business, including, surviving the GFC. So learning how to always look ahead, always look for solutions, and always strive to anticipate needs, be there for your client base and everything when and where they need you. So I think a few things have come together in a perfect storm to mean that I feel like I'm really able to help a lot of people at a time when they probably need the help too.
Fantastic. Well, I'm really looking forward to getting into what you've done and how you've innovated in this, past 6 months. But let's kind of start high level. And obviously you've done a lot of research because of what you do and the services you provide into social distancing. So why is it that we are all struggling so much with adhering to the social distancing regulations? We need signs and marshals and God knows what else. Tell us a bit about the human behavioral issues. What's going on?
So it's literally the wiring in our brains. It is so fundamental. So, and there's a formal area of study in it. It's called proxemetics, like how close we are to one another.
Okay. And
without getting complete nerd face on, there's sort of 4 distances. Okay. So for someone we're intimate with, 0 to 45 centimetres, to someone who we kind of know, 45 centimetres to 1.2 metres. Yep. For people we don't know, a bit more for that. And then public speaking, a whole other thing.
Right.
So the magic number was that 45 to 1.2 metres. So that's the zone that we naturally go to for people we kind of know.
Nice.
So the person in front of you in the supermarket queue, the person, you're buying your coffee from, whatever it is. So that's, you don't really know them. But the difficulty is it's that the maximum we naturally do is 1.2. And we all know, we keep hearing 1.5. And so we almost can't help it. Right. We go there. So that's one of the big ones. Yeah, it is. It is literally, it's across cultures, it's across nationalities. It's not, it is literally our biology at that level. So that's why we can't do it. If you like.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense, because it's amazing, even when things start to recover a little bit or restrictions get loose a little bit, it's almost like a lot of the time people have just forgot we've even have a need to social distance. Everybody's just doing their thing, and people at the beach and all. I said, what's going on?
Look, and it's really difficult because one way or another, everyone's been affected by COVID. But if you know someone who's had it, you tend to be a bit more hypersensitive because it's more real for you. And it's a germ we don't see. We can be quite well and be carrying it and not realise. And so it's easy to live your life unless you're in Victoria, although today, happy dance. So, and not be too kind of worried and concerned. But we sort of see certain businesses who are being very proactive, and my observation is the major area is in the medical field, and I think it's because they get it. They know, they've had the training, they know how easy it is for germs to spread. That's right. And how serious this disease really is.
Yeah. Wow. And let's chat about businesses in general. I mean, it's obviously very challenging, and it's obvious that it matters so much, but you've probably done more research and you've got more insight into some of the implications of why it matters so much for business to really put in place these measures, and how can they actually start to do that in a simple way. So I wanted to get your insight into that.
Yeah, so I think with businesses, there's almost a few categories, but the fundamental reason why it matters is if you get COVID in your business, you're going to be further affected. So you may have to shut down, you may have to give people a heap of sick leave time to be tested or to isolate. And then you've also got the PR. The media is pretty happy to name and shame, but people are real quick to get on social media and say, no, this is what happened. So there's a lot of practical implications of what happens, but there's also a lot of damaging to businesses' credibility, to businesses, people feeling comfortable going there. So that there's lots of impacts as far as them being a COVID cluster or whatever. We hear all those terms. And then there's also things like, I speak to businesses all the time, and so one of the stresses for them is they may have casual staff and things like that, and they feel bad if they can't give them work because the implications are very real. That person can't send the kids with a nice lunch to school or whatever it is. So any more financial stress, and it's pretty horrific sort of stuff. That's right. So it matters from just business operations, and then it matters from a PR point of view, the two big areas. Then the other thing is, my view is it's almost like a reset button's been pressed. So as a consumer, if they always used to go to Cafe A for coffee, well, that got broken for various reasons. And so they might just go, I'll try Cafe B. And I did do actually a bit of consumer research too, and what we found is that they will gravitate, well, I think the preference was like 85%, to somewhere that's visually showing that they're taking COVID seriously and their customer well-being seriously. So there's that opportunity to win others, and obviously you want to get back who you had if you haven't got them back yet.
So true. So it's so important to display the COVID safe signs, to make sure you're wearing masks, gloves, to do whatever you can to show people that you are taking every precaution possible, and then people will feel comfortable to come to your premises.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. And now you've obviously done a lot of innovation in this time. So I'd love to hear more about what you've actually developed, what kind of tools, what kind of technology that you have to help businesses really adhere to these restrictions and also protect themselves.
Yeah, so what we did, because we were very focused on the hotel industry, and a little bit of background, we import product, we always have. It's kind of embarrassing now, but what happened is very early on with imports, they were being affected. So things like the cargo ships had to stay at sea for 14 days before they could dock, and that was a safety issue. And I was aware of that. It was really interesting, and I was, this port's closed and this is what's happening, and my son's doing economics and I was passing this information on. This was all before it really hit the fan, and in hindsight I'm going, oh my gosh, how did I not really appreciate the enormity? Having talked to other people in logistics, they went, yeah, we didn't pick it either. So very early on I was feeling it, and we were looking at straight away, what will hotels need in the future? And then we realised very quickly, a lot of our solutions would help a lot more people than the hotel industry alone. And so, you know, that's where we sort of went, okay, we need to help more people, and we can. So one of the first products is actually here. It's our cute little sign that's in the background there.
Yeah, I love it.
And what that's about, and I call it, you know, I mean, I love it because it's so respectful. So quickly show you. So it's real simple. You get too close and the lovely green light turns red.
I like it. That's cool.
And, you know, what I liked, as soon as I saw it, I went, wished I'd thought of it.
Yep.
And then I went, well, I didn't, but I can import it. So it's actually European. It's made in the Netherlands.
Yep.
And it's just brilliant, and it's respectful, and it works. So it's so easy. You don't have to say anything.
Yep.
And if somebody gets too close, it starts to flash red.
Fair.
Most people move back. You don't say anything. We all just keep making coffee or whatever we're doing. And life goes on pretty normally. And this is actually what we all want as well. We want normal. We don't want to be walking around in hazmat suits. Thanks all the same.
That's right.
Very much, you know, we're
even
all over it.
Even wearing a mask for 2-3 hours is pretty rough.
Yeah, we don't like it. Of course we don't. So that was one of our first ones where we just went, brilliant. It uses some pretty cool tech, which, I'm geeky. It's for those who are geeky, it's got LiDAR in it. So most people kind of are familiar with it with self-driving cars.
Oh, yeah.
And the latest iPhone 12 is going to be using that technology. Oh, no, pretty cool. It got just announced.
Wow.
I am a tech nerd, okay?
What is the iPhone going to do with it?
That bit you've got me on. I only just heard a headline about that. I'm not exactly sure. It's going to be it can be used like from outer space to do topographical maps, the technology, as well as really up close stuff. So I'm not too sure what's going to be face recognition.
Yep.
I think it might be gestures with your hand over your phone. I don't know. It'll be something cool.
Wow.
So it's got a LiDAR in there. So it's a little laser. That little square is what's doing it. So it's just scanning all the time. It's a distance measure. And then it's just got a little processor inside which goes, oh, you're too close. I need to change what I'm doing.
Very clever.
And it's interesting. Like I've got, as I said, we find the medical space are very proactive in this area because they're actually asking people to move back.
Right.
More so than any other industry that I'm speaking with anyway.
Yep.
And one lady, she just said to me, oh, you know, so sick and tired of 300 dimes a day, would you please step back? And she said instantly it stopped, just instantly. And kids were commando crawling under it to trick it, and it made social distancing important and obvious, but a little bit of fun, and nobody said anything awkward, nobody felt awkward. They all just did it, and they're finding, and most of the medical practices are saying the same thing, even in the waiting room, people are going, oh, that's right, I've got to do this, haven't I? And so it's actually having a bigger impact than what we anticipated, which again is really great. And the relief for staff and the patients and customers and that, I just kind of feel okay about this. And if there's comment, it's just, oh, how cool is that? So it's quite interesting because you can see what it does. It's obvious how it works, but the benefits were more than what we thought, which is, I don't know, gives me a thrill.
Many other knock-on effects. Those Dutchies are clever, I tell you. They come up with some good ideas.
They do. Yeah.
Fantastic. So obviously that's something that you can supply to hospitality, to medical, to anyone who wants it. Cafe.
Yeah, retail space.
Retail.
We haven't approached them, but apparently it's huge in car companies overseas, which you think, who would know? Who would have thought that? But yeah.
Awesome. And what other kind of products and other things that have really taken off at the moment?
Well, I suppose in the techie area, and what it is they're called electrostatic sprayers. Really, the nice thing is it's old tech in that it's been around in hospitals and in food manufacturing plants, actually, to spray. Normally, these days, 100% disinfectant could be used for anything. So to disinfect large areas quite easily and safely. And when I first heard about it, I got told it defies gravity. And the science geek said, no, it doesn't. They can't do that. How does this work? Because I didn't believe any of it because I didn't like that. So again, I got my geek on. It's actually it is super cool. So it puts a positive charge on the chemical.
Right.
And it's easy to think of magnets. We know magnets, they
attracts.
the same ones want to go apart. So when the disinfectant comes out the gun, spreads.
Yep.
And then most surfaces actually have a natural, slightly negative charge.
Bingo.
So what happens is it sticks.
Very clever.
And it works. And it does, it's called electrostatic wrapping. So if you can imagine, it's almost like if you can imagine little ball bearings all running away from each other because they're positive, and they'll go behind the edge of the desk or whatever it is that you may not have sprayed directly. So that's all cool.
Very clever in a way, because you see people in cafes and restaurants and whatnot always running around with the gloves and the spray guns and constantly wiping tables down, but they might miss little bits, as you say. So something like this, if it's applied properly, will actually be even possibly more covering and more accurate.
And from a business point of view, it's faster and time is money.
Yep.
And saves about 65% of the chemical. Most of these chemicals are pretty expensive.
Wow.
So that's, you can imagine demand went up astronomically. We took months. We identified the product early, but we took months to be able to secure stock, but we did. That's what we do.
And obviously, and the name of your business is called Kleen Freek, isn't it?
It is. A bit of fun, that name.
What a cool name, Kleen Freek.
Yeah, so it's a bit of fun, and it's a serious issue that we're trying to help businesses with, which is just adjust to this post-pandemic world. Yeah. But we don't have to kind of be all too doom and gloom about the whole thing, because there are opportunities, and thank goodness we're in Australia. We're so lucky. Absolutely, yeah.
So true. Obviously, we have to be respectful. We have to be conscious. We have to be responsible, but we can still take things lightly, in a way, and have a bit of, have a bit of fun with things, as long as we're still doing the right things as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And it is doable. It's not easy and it's not natural.
Yeah.
But it's doable and it's important and it's worth it. We don't want to go back in lockdown. Thank you so much.
Definitely not. Definitely not. And so where do you think this is all going to go in the future? Is this something that we're just going to have to live with and keep coming up with ideas like this to manage behavior? Where do you see this happening?
Look, very early on, I could see this is going to last for a long time. A lot of people said, you're wrong. The reality is there's a few issues here. So we've got to remember, this is a variation of SARS, okay? So SARS is been and gone.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, and it's reasonable to assume there'll be other respiratory diseases that will come. And because of the way we live, the amount of movement we all do, population density, blah, blah, blah. Yep. So even just specifically with COVID, yes, I'm very hopeful we'll have a vaccine soon. But soon is, mid next year at the earliest. Then it's got to get manufactured. Then it's got to get distributed. Then we've got to get everybody vaccinated. Yep. So that's not going to be easy. And then there may be a variation. So my view, and then you can't really do elimination strategy, even though we're an island. That's not ever going to happen. So my view is that we are going to have to figure out how to live with it. Yep. And live safely and live productive and happy lives. And so we are probably forever going to be different, and things like awareness of social distancing, hand washing. I know it's basic. It is so effective. It's one of those things like, please just do it,
Wash your hands. Yep.
And I think we're going to live with these forever. And there are some really good things, like, the flu season was far less because we're doing a lot more to prevent transmittable diseases. A lot of people don't know, in the aged care environment where COVID has been devastating, overall the death rate has been less than same time last year, because of the fact that there's been less visits, which has not been good for anyone's mental health.
Sure. Yep.
But, less disease spread, basically, because of that reduced circulation. And then I think also understanding, and I probably sound, a bit philosophical, as a person, as an individual, the positive impact we can have on others. We've also seen the negative impact with literally individuals pulling a state down. Yep. But I'm an optimist. I like to think that we will forever be kinder to mankind, kinder to the stranger.
I agree. I so agree. It's almost like a reset button. Everybody just pressed reset and had a change in the way we think about life, how family, friends, change in perspective, change in how we spend money, what's most important to us. So I think from that point of view, it's very positive.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think, you know, I like to think that a lot of that will continue on, and that respectfulness and understanding, you know, our impacts. I'm seeing, you know, a lot of grassroots stuff about people saying, you know, support local businesses and understand they're struggling, be kind. You know, if things aren't perfect, that's okay. You know what I mean? And understanding that that's important. From a business to business point of view, that's very much where I work. I've certainly seen businesses, you know, helping each other to a huge degree, giving away maybe intellectual property and things like that would normally be a chargeable service, and saying, okay, let's all, you know, together get through this. And I think that's I think that's a really fantastic thing. And business opportunities, I think, have appeared for people because of barriers have been dropped, and that sort of we're in it together.
Yep. As well as the fact that we're all doing so much more work online, and it's almost become a much more global marketplace. You know, we're all doing business across borders with ease because of Zoom and all the other technology we have available to us. It's amazing. I'm astounded by how things have changed in the last 6 months.
Yeah, and a lot of it is, you know, say Zoom's been around for a while, but people's comfort with using it, it's like, oh yeah, let's get on Zoom.
Jump on Zoom. Yeah.
You know, even last night I had a thing with the kids' school, and they sort of said, you know, it's all been challenging, and they said, but one of the great things is our connection with the home is you know, easy, and you know, I'm sitting there talking to you, and the guy, he had a broken sternum, he was actually working from home.
Oh boy.
I know. But, you know, he could do that. He couldn't physically get into school anyway, but he could do that. And, you know, all the parents were pretty well there, whereas I'd be like, you've got to go into school for something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So true. I think it's fascinating how things have changed. And like, I just love observing behavior and the human interaction. And it's just been very interesting to see how things have changed and what continues to change in the next 6-12 months. Who knows?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well done. Well, I mean, Naomi, have you got any other great stories or case studies of how you've implemented one of your products to a local business, and it's just been amazing? The results have been amazing. The business owner's been so happy. The customer base has been happy. I love to give our audience some stories or some case studies about, you know, what my guest has been doing.
Yeah. So I suppose, sort of back on this sign, it was quite fun the other day. I was at, it's called The Greens in North Sydney, and you want to go walk in there? I
know that. I think I've known that. It's a cafe, is it?
Well, it's a bowling green, but it's got quite a substantial sort of function and food and beverage offer and what have you. Anyway, so he kind of wanted the signs as people were arriving. Yep. And he's actually done a magnificent job. He's separated his outside area to his inside area so he can use the different rule base, and he's got bathrooms outside. So he's completely set himself up. He's got his plan approved by the local police, and he's really done everything brilliantly. He only opened a few weeks ago, actually. Anyway, so he got the signs. He said, oh, yeah, great. You know, I help you control that. And anyway, I rang him up and said, how's it going now you're open? And, you know, and he goes, oh, it's great. He goes, but can't believe what I did, though. And I go, what? He goes, he had done so much planning, he really had. But then what happened is everyone arrived and was signing in. He had this huge queue congestion, and everyone ignored the dots on the grounds. Yeah. How unsurprising.
Of course.
We've never seen that before.
It's just like at the supermarket. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was really worried about it because he didn't know how to deal with it. He didn't really want staff running up and down. So anyway, what he did is he's actually put the signs, he had a bench, so he was lucky, but he put signs, several of them, between the dots. Clever. So what happens if the people get too close, you can see with my hands moving, it starts flashing red at them. So it was really interesting because he had a vision of how it would help him. Yeah. And he's done it differently, and he goes, it's so cool, like, you know. And it was actually one of his staff members, and apparently they almost came to blows as the staff member said, no, I know how to fix this. And he's going, what are you talking about? So it was really quite fun.
He was very innovative in his application.
Look, he really was. And, you know, I mean, they've done so much, you know, and again, we're working a lot of, you know, digital menus, all of this sort of stuff, QR codes. Again,
that's actually a really interesting one. I was just actually going to ask you about that. I mean, the way that QR codes have just taken off, it's just been phenomenal. Who actually puts this technology together? How does it work? Because I don't know enough about it.
Okay, so QR codes have been around a long time. I don't know how long, years. Yeah. They're not new. And in China, you can buy a banana off the street with a QR code and you'll pay for it through WeChat. Oh, now, that's been going on for yonks, right?
Wow.
and it's actually interesting because Australia is very well known as early tech adopters, yet in Australia, pre-COVID, QR codes just didn't get a heap of traction one way or the other. If you want the geeky bit, all it is, it's effectively directing your smartphone normally to a website. That's all it does. Okay. It's like, instead of typing it in or whatever, it's just a URL. So that's the tech. So what's happened now is that people kind of get, I just put my phone camera up and it just goes somewhere. And that somewhere could have a form to sign in for COVID. It could have a menu. It could have, pretty well anything under the sun.
Okay.
And so what's interesting, again, from a business point of view, using QR codes had a real consumer resistance. So you didn't do it because you knew your consumer wouldn't access it, so it was all a waste of time.
Right.
Whereas now, because everyone's kind of been forced to do the QR code thing, all the technologies that can be easily accessed through web stuff have become, really accessible to people.
Amazing.
So
it's basically just, you can use a QR code for anything. All you're doing is just directing someone to a website. That's it.
Absolutely.
So
That's it.
So a menu, it could be anything. Special, a sale, whatever.
Yeah, it could be a discount coupon, anything under the sun. So it's really like in hotels, we're directing them to all sorts of places as far as, they could buy food and beverage, they can get minibar on demand, they can do whatever.
And what does QR stand for? Any idea?
Ooh,
I'm going to put you on the
quite really clever thing. I don't know.
I love it. QR, no idea. If anybody in the audience is listening, feel free to make a comment later on in the post and tell us what QR actually is.
Yeah. Now you've got me curious.
You're going to look it up after this.
I am.
Fantastic. Well, Naomi, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show.
No, it's my pleasure. It's an interesting time we're all in at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, really nice to see someone and also a company that has been so innovative and has been so quick in doing something new, but it's also been so socially responsible. So really, a lot of respect for that as well.
Thanks, Darren.
Well done. But before I let you go, let us know how we can connect with you, how we can find you if you want to talk about using some of your products or learning more about what you do.
The easiest thing is probably our website called Kleen Freek. Yep. And I'm a normal spelling Nazi, but we've had a bit of fun with this one. So it's Kleen, spelt with a K, L-E-E-N, Freek, F-R-E-E-K.
Okay.
Yeah, for a bit of fun, .com.au. So yeah, sort of find us there is probably the easiest. I'm on LinkedIn. Perfect. Not so good on Facebook, but
I'll make sure that I put all the links to LinkedIn and to your website in the show notes. So really appreciate it.
Not a problem at all.
And I wish you best of luck with all what you do. And, you're doing some great work for the community. So, well done again.
Thanks so much.
Well done. Now, before I let you go, I always like to ask my guests, what would you like to leave us with today? Anything in particular? Any final thoughts?
Look, I think my final thought is just if as individuals we can do anything to support business around us, please do that, because it's not just the business owner, it's all the people they employ. And I think that's really important. And be kind. You don't know what's going on. I think the mental health issues are horrific. You do not know what other people have been dealing with. So just if someone's maybe not being gracious as you like, just maybe give them a hug. Instead of, maybe don't.
No.
So a household member, give them a hug, but be kind. I think just understand this experience has
be compassionate.
Affected. Yeah, compassionate. That's nice.
Be compassionate and have empathy towards your fellow human being, because you don't know what they're going through.
You don't, and if you have the ability to spend money, because not everybody does, if you do try and support local business, because that will have a big flow-on effect. Is really what I'm saying.
Fantastic. So true. Well done. Well, there you go, everybody. Naomi Williams from Kleen Freek. K-L-E-E-N-F-R-E-E-K. Is that right?
That's it.
Got it. Well done. Well, everybody out there, I hope you had a fantastic show. I really did. I learned a lot. Thanks again, Naomi, for coming on the show. And all the audience, we'll see you very, very soon for another episode. Have a great afternoon and bye for now.